Later in the same gospel, the Gospel of Luke, this woman approaches Jesus and asks her a question where, well, she really says, blessed are you, or blessed is your mother, because she gave birth to you. Which is an interesting thing for someone to say. And Jesus looks at her and he, in a kind of a shocking way, says, no, my mother's not blessed because she just gave birth to me. And then he says, she's blessed because she believed. She's blessed because she believed. In our gospel that we heard proclaimed today, this is exactly what Elizabeth says to Mary when she comes to greet her. She says, blessed are you because you believed. I think it's important for us to recognize that believing something is an important prerequisite for something good, or for some goal to be attained, or for God even to do something. So for Mary, for example, in order for God to send his son, Mary needed to believe. And because she believed, she said yes. And therefore, our Savior was able to come into this world, which we're going to celebrate very soon here. But what I want to point out is this aspect of believing is important for something to follow, something good. Well, kind of a real example of this comes from one of my good friends in the priesthood, Father Tony Russo. And Father Tony is hilarious. You don't know him well. He is one of the funniest people I've ever met. We both share a great love for food. And actually, so much so, a couple of years ago when I was his associate at Our Lady of Consolation in Rockford, it was Christmas Day, and Father Tony was going to his family's house, and his family makes the best cannolis. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They are the best. And I said, brother, remember me when you come home. And he said, oh, you got it, man. I'm bringing you a cannoli. I'm like, yes, praise Jesus. So he gets home late that night from obviously being with family. He walks in and I said, hey man, how was your day? Dude, man, it was awesome. Mama Russo, she's the best. She made the great food. It was awesome. The cannolis were great. I said, great. You got one? No, they were all gone, man. Sorry. Tone, how many did you have? 4. You couldn't save me one? Anyway, he's probably not going to be happy that I shared that story, but he's not here, so who cares? His sister might be. She's here, so please don't tell on me. But anyway, the reason I tell you this is because obviously, so one of the things that I love about this man is he just goes for things. And this past summer, he had a parishioner encourage him to start working with a personal trainer. You probably know where I'm going with this. But this parishioner said to him, I really think it'd be good for you. I want to encourage you. I think this will be a very important just change in lifestyle. You're changing parishes. You're going to St. Robert. This would be a really good time for you to get healthy, or healthier, I should say. So he did it. So he started working with this personal trainer. Well, a couple months later, he and I had dinner, and he showed up, and I'm like, dude, where are you going? You're wasting away. He's like, oh, no, man, but I'm working with this personal trainer. He rocks. He's kicking my butt. Oh, my goodness, man, he's kicking my butt. And I'm like, all right, well, good for you. Well done. You're doing a great job. And then he was like, you should do it too. All right, I'm not really into that right now, but okay. And so he's like, no, man, you should really do it. Well, of course, you know that I did, and it's been very helpful for me. But I share this story with you because both Mary and Father Tony did something similar. Both of them believed enough in something. They both said yes, they chose to do it, and they both shared it with another person, right? They both shared it with someone else. And I would like to call those 3 things a kind of virtue for us to model in our own lives this weekend, which is a spiritual haste. To have spiritual haste in our own lives. And that's having the courage to believe, having the courage to act, and having the courage to share it with someone else. And so what is it that we're supposed to have spiritual haste with? Well, I think it's supposed to be about God, especially about what we're going to experience this coming week with Christmas. So for example, what does this look like in our lives? Well, one, do we just simply have the belief that God speaks to us? That God speaks to us personally? So if we believe that God speaks to us personally, if we believe that we're going to hear God speak to us at Mass, then we're probably going to say yes to that invitation to come and worship and give God thanks and praise and allow ourselves to be spoken to, right? We're going to do something about it. We're going to go. We're going to say yes. We're going to act. And then, of course, hopefully over time, as we experience God through worship, through our community of faith and our church, then we'll share that with others. And maybe the most obvious way that this works, in a certain sense, we can see it by the opposite, the counterpart. What happens when we doubt? Especially if we doubt that God speaks to us. I don't know if God speaks to me. Well, what's the unsaid doubt behind that? I don't know if God cares enough to speak to me. And if we have that kind of doubt in our heart, well, then we're probably not going to say yes very often to prayer and to coming to Mass. And if we're not coming to prayer and we're not going to Mass and we're not celebrating our faith, then we're certainly not going to tell others to go too, because we have this doubt that's kind of taken over our lives. But again, when we allow the belief to take root and we say yes to God, amazing things happen. Again, for example, think about confession. If I believe that God truly is a loving Father who offers me mercy and forgiveness, then I'll probably choose to go to confession and rely on God's mercy and grace to overcome my sinful behavior. And if I do that, then I'll probably share it with someone else and say, hey, you should try it too. God's grace and mercy and confession is powerful. It's life-changing. If you were here last Sunday, we had a packed house. It was almost 500 people. It was awesome. This is probably normal for us at 10:30. This is close to 400 right now. But it was exciting, to say the least. It was exciting to see a full chapel over there. It was exciting to see every pew filled and standing space in the back and a standing room only in the back. And it was exciting. Here's my challenge for each and every one of us this week. We're going to celebrate Christmas, one of the most important things in our faith. Maybe we can go like Mary out into our world with spiritual haste, to believe that God is coming, to act on it by saying yes, that our family is going to celebrate this, and also to share it. Hey, come with us to St. Pius so we can welcome our Savior into the world again. May we have the same spiritual haste that Mary has, to have the courage to believe in what God does, the courage to act on it, and the courage to share that with others.